in this Republican MAGA party that they're kind of having trouble getting their talking points straight on this whole government shutdown. Representative John Rose, look at who he says is to blame for the devastation and the disaster that's about to happen.
What's your reaction to what she said about the politics of the shutdown? Her basic take is not to assign partisan blame. It's just you and your colleagues are paid to solve these problems and make sure that they're not, that people like her kids are not pawns in this fight.
Absolutely, Jake. Thanks for having me on. 29 days, Republicans in the Senate have kept the government shut down, and it's really deplorable to see them using people like Mrs. Burdine as pawns, if you will, or leverage.
Wait, what was that? Whoops. Representative John Rose said it's deplorable that Republicans have had the government shut down and they're using people like that woman that he referenced as pawns in this whole scheme. I'm gonna make sure you guys heard it. I centered in on that particular moment because he had his line ready, and boy, did John Rose screw this up.
29 days, Republicans in the Senate have kept the government shut down, and it's really deplorable to see them using people like Mrs. Burdine as pawns, if you will, or leverage.
I agree, Representative Rose. It's deplorable how you guys have used women like that as pawns or leverage in your scheme. Yeah, it was a Freudian slip, but he was trying. He probably practiced that line so many times, and I'm not sure if he's gotten word yet. Someone told him, "You fucked up, John. They're never going to let me back on TV again. Damn it, that was my opportunity to move up in the MAGA ranks and to become one step closer to Donald Trump's toes." And boy, that's what we all want. He might still have a chance because take a look at what J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, also said when he was trying to explain whose fault it is and how bad this is for everyone, and has nothing to do with him or his president.
Well, here's the problem. If you go back to previous government shutdowns, what has happened is that sometimes the president has tried to make the shutdown as painful as possible on the American people. I give the president of the United States great credit and the entire team for trying to make this as painless as possible. The Democrats are acting irresponsibly. He doesn't want the American people to suffer because of it. But look, right now, this government, this administration, we're like guys running around, with a leak in a damn wall, trying to plug it with bubble gum. And we plug one spot with bubble gum, and we plug another spot with bubble gum, and we plug another spot with bubble gum. Why don't the Democrats just stop this entire charade and reopen the government so that we don't have to try to make this thing work on a shoestring budget, which is what we're trying to do. The unfortunate reality, and we're starting to see this with our aviation industry, we're going to find out the hard way with SNAP benefits. The American people are already suffering, and the suffering is going to get a lot worse. Not because the President of the United States has failed to make the shutdown painless. He's tried to do everything that he can to make it as unpainless as possible.
What was that, JD? What was that? First of all, the objective here is to try and make Donald Trump look good no matter what. That's what they always have to come back to. No matter what it is that they say ever at any point, the objective is to praise Donald Trump, say that he's doing things to make things to seem so wonderful for you. In most government shutdowns, presidents don't do anything. In most government shutdowns, the president doesn't care. In most government shutdowns, that's the way things usually go. But this president loves you, even though he's told you over and over and over again that he hates you. But what was that you said, JD, about painful and painless?
And the suffering is going to get a lot worse. Not because the President of the United States has failed to make the shutdown painless. He's tried to do everything that he can to make it as unpainless as possible.
As unpainless as possible. Unpainless isn't a word. But if you're going to make something unpainless, then you're going to make it painful. That's two. You know what? Actually, Representative John Rose, you just might still have a chance to sit next to Trump's feet because J.D. Vance licks them every day. And he says the same types of things. He accidentally speaks a little bit of truth about what it is that this president is doing. He's gotten a step to where he doesn't have to lick Trump's feet. He licks his, you know what? And this is one of the reasons why they're continuing to lose this argument and this debate over this government shutdown. Some guys have Freudian slips. Others just reveal the game.
So just to put a pin in it, all or nothing. Full government funding for the entire government, or you're not going to bring anything up on the House floor, even if the Senate finds some sort of compromise?
Yet, because they're trying to play games, and we are not interested in doing that. That's the position of the leadership, Republican leadership in the Senate and the House and the White House as well.
Even if something comes to the floor, we're not going to do anything. And you hear him at the back end? That's the position of Republicans in the House, Senate, and the White House. Why is the White House telling the Congress what is they should do? Why is the White House telling Speaker of the House to keep things shut down because that's what they enjoy doing? And why is that same Speaker of the House not smart enough? Moses Mike Johnson not smart enough to realize, as he's been the mouthpiece for this president for this long, how he doesn't realize that he keeps telling everyone, "I do whatever Donald Trump tells me to do." They're not going to beat the charges. Here he is more.
Wouldn't that be a futile exercise when we have a CR that's been sitting over there since September 19th? If I brought the House back and we passed another CR, it would meet the exact same fate of Chuck Schumer. He would mock it, they would spike it, and they would try to blame it on us. So what would be the point of that? We're all concerned about the timing. The Democrats are eating up the clock. We have very important work to do here, and that's why we're pleading with them, not Chuck Schumer. Look, I think Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are irredeemable at this point. I don't think they'll be able to tell Mondami in New York and his disciples that they voted to open the government. I've given up on the leadership. So we're trying to appeal to a handful of moderates or centrists who care more about the American people and will put the people's interest over their own and do the right thing in the Senate. I mean, there's no point in me sitting down with Chuck Schumer. He's painted himself into a corner. I get all that. Mondami it looks like he's going to win and be the mayor of New York City. And Hakeem Jeffries came out and endorsed him. That's all you need to know. Hakeem Jeffries is terrified that Mondami, one of his disciples, is going to challenge him in his own seat in the election next fall. You've already seen that rumored. Some of you have reported on it. So he had to do it. He had to endorse socialism. He had to endorse Marxism. This dangerous ideology that has taken over the Democrat Party, that is what is motivating them. So it doesn't matter what we do in the House. It doesn't matter what we pass. We have to get a handful of moderates over there who care about America to do the right thing. We need at least 7 Democrats.
He really thinks he nails these monologues. He really thinks he hits a home run when he keeps talking about how he has to bring up Zohran Mamdani, the guy that they're speculating to win the mayor of New York. He thinks he can bring up the scary brown person like this Republican Party has always done back with Obama as well. Let me bring up the scary brown person and say that look how this Democratic Party has now had to kowtow to the vast numbers of people who've come forward and listened to what these folks say and policies that may work for them, and says he just needs a few of these centrist Democrats to come his way. It's such an empty argument. So I thought you guys had overwhelming support and you're killing it and everyone in the country loves you, but you keep talking about how there's so many people who disagree with you. Maybe you should start compromising and coming that direction. They still haven't said what it is that they need to do to actually give the American people something different with this healthcare plan. They just keep saying they've got concepts of plans. There's nothing to negotiate about. We don't want to talk. So now we need people to come over based on absolutely nothing except for us putting leverage on them by punishing Americans more. I didn't say it. Donald Trump said it. Mike Johnson said it. Representative Rose said it. JD Vance said it. They keep going on TV and saying things like this, expecting to win these debates.
The reality is that this has been a stalemate for 30 days. And it's not just Democrats. You also have one of the most conservative Republican senators, Josh Hawley, who says, at least please move money around to feed people. Why not consider that?
Because if you deviate from the goal of reopening the entire government, Chuck Schumer and the radicals over there will continue to play games with people's paychecks, their livelihoods. And if you do just part of this, it will reduce the pressure for them to do all of it, to do their basic job, and that is reopen the government. This is very real and very serious, and they can end it today. They can do it right now. All they have to do is, we just need 5 more Democrats in the Senate to help us reach the 60-vote threshold. We don't have enough Republicans to do the right thing on our own. We need them to do the right thing.
He says we don't have enough Republicans to do what he says is the right thing on our own. The way that, this country has worked, at least what they always said it worked as, was if you don't have enough representation to then do it yourself, what you have to do is you have to find yourself a middle ground. And who you have to work with is those other people who were elected by these folks that we call American citizens, who elected them into their offices to then say, we're going to fight for the people who voted us in. Time to find some middle ground to meet. But he just clearly stated that. We don't have enough Republican support. Do you guys listen to Hamilton, that play, as much as I had to? Because my kid, when he was like 5 years old, loved it. It's like, you don't have the votes. You don't have the votes, bro. That means you have to compromise. He just said it himself. The only reason you wouldn't compromise is if you're trying to strong arm people. Axios put it in black and white. So we've reached our 30th day in this government shutdown. And more Americans, they say, blame President Trump and Republicans than Democrats for this impasse. That's according to the Washington Post ABC Ipsos poll. Now, 43% of Americans are, quote, very concerned about this shutdown compared to just 25% at the start of this whole thing. So it's grown. Both parties are anxious about the shutdown, but they say that Democrats are more than twice as likely to be concerned. People making less than $25,000 were the most likely, at 56%, to say that they were concerned about the situation. Now, here's where it breaks down to who is to blame. Almost half of all Americans, 45%, say that Trump and the GOP are responsible for the ongoing shutdown, while 33% blame Democrats, and another 22% say they're not sure because they don't pay attention. This is what I assume is the only reason you could not have an opinion on it. 81% of Democrats blame Trump and Republicans, compared to 72% of Republicans who say Democrats are at fault. And 63% of Americans say that they disapprove of Trump's management of the federal government overall, and only 36% approve. So just as much as Donald Trump can create these false realities that he's got a mandate and he can do anything that he wants, and the American people voted for him to destroy everything that he's destroying, why don't we look at what the current state of affairs are when it comes to those same American people who he claimed gave him this sweeping biggest victory ever in American history, which was a lie, to do anything that he wants? Because right now, the vast majority of Americans are saying, hell no.